department has a bill to defund Planned Parenthood. Do you think that there'll be a bill in the Senate? You also talked
We'll take a look at Representative Patman's bill. I support Representative Patman in most everything he does, so I haven't had a chance to read it, but my guess is to get favorable consideration in the Senate. The Republican caucus is 100% pro-life.
Are there any other bills dealing with
I
this
haven't,
issue?
none that I've heard of yet. We knew the Patman bill was coming, and so I'm not aware of any introduced. There may be.
Do you anticipate any action in the Senate on the heartbeat bill?
And the answer to that is the Supreme Court's pretty much resurrected or ended that discussion recently. And unless there's some evidence or some new information out there as to why the heartbeat bill would be constitutional and survive, I don't know that that's going to be anything that gets any viable discussion.
So you don't think do you think it'll get hearings or anything, or is it pretty much dead at this point?
We've had hearings. We'll continue to have hearings if somebody can bring that information forward. Even the proponents admit that that bill would be ruled unconstitutional by the federal district courts and by the Sixth Circuit. Frankly, there are things in that bill in its current form that would undo other things that we believe are constitutional and are currently in law. I'm not willing to roll back Ohio's abortion law in favor of a political strategy.
Senator, we're going to hear a lot of spin from the other side after today's rally. In your mind, what is the illegal activity that's happening? What's the possible illegal activity happening?
Look, I think that's being reviewed, but there are two things that draw immediate concern. Are you selling body parts? And two, are you changing your technique, your abortion procedure to make the body parts more saleable? Both of those would be violations of law. And so I think that's where the heart of the investigation is. But look, I think forget about the legal question about whether somebody goes to prison or not, or whether some organization is enjoined from doing further activity. All of that would be maybe appropriate. But it's a moral question. I mean, to me, what are we saying as a country? That we think it's okay to manipulate the abortion procedure or to do abortions to harvest body parts to be sold? That's pretty macabre. That's not the country that I'm proud of. And the reality is, as we go forward as a country, those are the kind of discussions we need to have. I remind people all the time when we have this discussion about abortion, if you can tell me when life begins, we can have a meaningful discussion about when abortion is. And the answer to that is generally my faith and my belief believes life begins at conception. And that's a faith-based decision. But that's the discussion that I think needs to happen with regard to this issue. Now, the court on its own created this standard. It has, on its own, in the most recent opinion, started to roll back that standard as to when they believe the viability issue arises. As somebody who lost children at 21 weeks, I can tell you we are on the cusp of viability. My children might have been able to survive today when they couldn't 6 years ago, or 8 years ago actually, now 12 years ago. Time flies. The reality is this is a personal issue to me. And most people know that who've traveled these halls for any time. Literally, we had a physician come in the office in the hospital room and tell my wife, well, we're going to prep you, we're just going to abort the babies. That wasn't a very good response for Christian pro-life parents to hear from a doctor without really much consultation. We didn't do that. We spent the next 2.5 weeks trying to save them. Ultimately, God had a plan. But my point is that until you've held your young child in your arms, knowing that they probably weren't going to survive, this is a personal issue. And for me, this issue of life, it's real tough as somebody who struggled real hard to have a family, to understand, and somebody who is a lawyer who does adoptions, to have somebody understand that every child needs to be loved, every child needs to be given an opportunity to have a home. And I'll do everything in my power as an elected official to make sure that happens.
I have a totally different